Hi, I'm Reed Pettengill. I'm here at Durastill in Kansas City, Missouri. See this tank here? It is a 25-gallon tank. It's called a 96-liter tank. It's not in a box. It just came off the line. It is just barely welded together. We don't have one boxed up, so I can't show you how to take it apart. But this is what comes with it when you order a 96-liter tank. It's a stand. The first thing you do is put these plastic plugs in the top and push them in. And it makes a nice finish on the top of that stand. The next thing is you put the tank on top of the stand. You just lift it up and you line up the hole with the spout that's in the bottom of the distiller. You can kind of get where you can see it underneath and drop it into that hole, and that holds it into place on that stand. The next thing you do is you take your faucet. Okay, the first thing you do putting the faucet on is you put the rubber seal on the outside, push it clear down on the metal threads. You insert it into this hole right here, and then with the other arm you reach clear down in this tank, and it's a long reach, and you gently and carefully put the nut on the inside of there. Don't strip it, and don't get it cross-threaded. It should turn on very easily. Get it tight so you can tighten it and get it to seat, and pull that rubber washer snug against the tank so you don't have any leaks. You want to get it tight enough it doesn't leak, because if it leaks and it's full of water, you got to drain the water and retighten it. So there you go. That's on there. Next thing you do is you put your distiller on top of this tank. Now you can either put a 30J on top of this tank, which is an automatic 8-gallon-a-day distiller, or you can put a 46C on top of it, which is a 46-liter-a-day, which is 12 gallons a day distiller. 12 gallons a day, 25 gallons tank, so in 2 days approximately 46C fills this tank up. Now with an 8-gallon-a-day, 3 times 8 is 24. So in about 3 days the 8-gallon-a-day tank distiller fills this tank. I'm going to place this distiller on top. This is a 46C with legs on it. It's exactly the same size as a 30J. And that's a beautiful setup. What I like about this distiller is you have 5 5-gallon bottles of water in this tank for storage. So if something happens to the municipal water system or anything contaminating your incoming water, you have storage enough. If 2 people are in your house, you have storage for 30 days of water for drinking. A family, maybe even a week, maybe 2 weeks. That's why I like this distiller. That's why I like a 25-gallon tank. It's not one you can move around, because 25 gallons of water weighs quite a bit of weight, and most normal people can't move that much. You might ask what this tube is when you find it in your packaging. It's a drain tube for the boiling chamber. You just loosen this compression fitting up and you slide your tube in until you feel it go up in like that, and then you tighten it up, and you just tighten it till it's snug, and then use a wrench to get it just a little bit more so it stays in there in place. You can feel, and then occasionally every week or two you open up this drain and drain out the boiling chamber. And that cleans out your boiling chamber. You take the bolt and you push it up through the hole, and you tighten up the nut onto this bolt. This is going to secure the lid on the top of this tank. There's one of these for both sides, like that. So then you take your lid and you put your cross member on your lid, and you put your knob on top of that, and you tighten that down till it bottoms out, and then you put your lid onto the tank and you put your wing nuts on top of those bolts that we put through the tank. That's not good. Put these wing nuts on. And you tighten that down to secure the lid. On top of the tank. There you go. You got a sealed tank. They also send this little black plug so you can plug up that hole. Now you know the distiller doesn't plug into the wall. It plugs into the float switch, which is on top of your tank. I've had people plug this into the wall and their distiller leaks, and they wonder why. Well, it never shuts off. And then you plug this into the wall. Here's your float switch, and it turns the water on, the distiller on and off. If the tank's full, it shuts the distiller off. If it goes down a little bit, it turns the distiller back on and makes the water it needs to fill up that tank. This vinyl tube you stick up onto the outlet for the distilled water. That's the end of the coil where the fan is. The fan cools the coil and changes steam back into water. Then you slide your clamp up into place. And tighten that clamp up right there. Now you can, after you have your little steamer tube in this vinyl pipe, vinyl hose, you raise your distiller up and stick it in this hole. Now with your fan switch off, the distiller blows straight steam into the empty tank. With the fan switch on, it makes water. It cools the steam into water. So what we want to do is sterilize this tank, so we will leave the fan switch off, which will cause this tank to heat up the same temperature as boiling water, 212 degrees. Now with the steamer tube in the tank, you want to have it automatically fill, but what you want to do is turn the fan switch off to the off position. And in about 25 minutes, the boiling chamber will be boiling and you'll be pushing steam into this tank. After the tank's brought up to temperature, the thing you do then is you wait 10 minutes and let it cook. After it gets hot, let it stay hot for 10 minutes. That'll kill any bacterium, virus, or parasite that's in that tank. And then you turn on the fan switch, and it immediately starts cooling the steam, so everything will start to cool down immediately. You'll start making water. It'll be hot at first, and then it'll cool right down to room temperature. And then you insert the filter. Never put steam through a filter, it ruins it. So after you autoclave your distiller out, you clean your steam clean your tank, your new tank, you put a filter in line. After you've steamed out your tank with steam and it's been sterilized, time to put the post filter in. You put your two 90-degree nylon elbows on there, and you put the vinyl tubing on one side, which is the inside. You can see the arrow flowing that way. And then you line up the filter to one of these holes and slide it off to one side. And I'm going to raise this distiller up. You don't need to do that, but because we're filming it, I'm going to raise it up so you can see what we're doing here. Okay, when you get your filter in place, this vinyl tube, you stick up onto the outlet for the distilled water. That's the end of the coil where the fan is. The fan cools the coil and changes steam back into water. Then you slide your clamp up into place. And tighten that clamp up right there. You don't have to worry about tightening the clamp up on the filter. Under this little bracket right here is a peel and stick tape. You line your distiller up, mark the spot where you want it to be. You reach under there and pull the peel and stick tape off, and then you just stick it down to the top of the distiller right there. You put this little washer on right here on the 90 that keeps a seal on the tank so nothing gets in there. No dirt or insects or anything like that can get in. Now you're making distilled water that's very nice to drink, 99.9% pure water. And this is a great distiller.